Hello and welcome to another episode of the Daily Breakthrough. I am Kwame Kuadey. Today is part 3 of the 4-part series that I started a few days ago about why you have to start now. So, day 1, I talked about mindset, the mindset you have to be in order to start something and start it right away. Day 2, I talked about action. Nothing happens without action. You have to take action, but what kind of action you should take is important because sometimes we get caught up in overthinking and we begin to make it bigger than it should be. So I talked about how you can break it down and take specific action that will move you forward. Today I'm going to talk about persistence because in my mind, one of the critical things that follows action is that we get too soon, we get discouraged. We're doing something new, we're not very familiar with it, we're scared, we're in our feelings about it, and then we get to a point where the discomfort that we're experiencing becomes so unbearable that we are quick to want to trade it back to comfort, even though the comfort situation that we were in before wasn't a situation we liked either. So, I want to talk about persistence and how to handle the discomfort that comes with starting something new. So, if you're new to this channel, I want to urge you to hit the subscribe button. This 4-part series is going to really change the way you approach starting anything. And I want to make sure that you have the tools you need to get started now. So, let's get to it. So, what do I want to say about persistence? Well, there are 4 things that I want to remind you about when it comes to starting something new. You are going to be tested. You are going to get uncomfortable. You are going to feel pressure. So, how do you deal with it? Well, you're going to be tested in 4 different areas. And the first one is when you start something new, nothing is going to work. And I have been in business long enough to know that it's ingrained in me now. When I start something, I know it is not going to go as I have planned it or as I've thought about it. It just comes with the territory. Things are not going to go as planned. So just internalize that so that you are prepared for all the surprises. Every single step you're going to take is going to have a surprise. Some of them multiple surprises. And you have to put that, like, internalize, write that in your brain, stitch that in your brain so that you are not worried, bothered, or thrown off course when you start something and the first step you take, there's a roadblock. It's meant to be like that. So I want you to be aware of it. Now, everything not going right also means that things that you do are not going to work the first time, maybe even the third time. It may take 10 tries before you get the next step right, before you can move to the step after that. So make sure that you're looking at each step for what it is as a mountain you have to climb and overcome, and you're willing to stick it in there and you're willing to do whatever it takes to clear this mountain so that you can move to the next step. And also, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that when you start something, the reason why you face so many obstacles is that you're feeling your way around. This is new. So you have to learn about yourself in this new scenario. You have to learn the nuances of this new thing that you are navigating. You have to learn your own skill sets that come into play or the skills that you lack and you have to learn and acquire. So there's so much going on. So when you begin, I want you to look at it as an exploration. You are here to explore and you're going to take every obstacle that's going to come with it and you're going to persist through that obstacle because you know that when you start something new, it's not going to all work out in the beginning. It may take several tries, several attempts. As long as you're consistent and showing up every day and chipping away at it, then that's all you can ask of yourself. And I want to say one more thing about consistency. Consistency means showing up regularly and doing the thing and not giving up. But that's not all of it. Consistency doesn't mean that you blindly just do the same thing over and over again without giving up. Consistency means that you're doing the same thing, but also taking feedback and tweaking it, and then going out there and getting more feedback and tweaking it. So there's a learning process and there's a pivoting opportunities in consistency. So if you're blindly just ignoring the feedback and the data, then you're not going to get any improvement on what you're trying to do. So just showing up and doing everything, the same thing blindly, it's not going to be helpful. Make sure that you're learning, you're iterating, then you're learning more and iterating and improving as you're showing up regularly to do the thing. The next thing that you're going to be tested on. So the first one is that nothing is going to go right. Just internalize that. So explore and have that exploratory mindset. Number two, feedback. Sometimes you're going to start and you're going to feel like nobody's paying attention. Nobody cares. And that is okay. And let me tell you why. For me, the most exciting part of starting anything new is when there is no feedback. Nobody's paying attention to me. And it is the most amazing season of starting anything. And let me explain why. Because, for example, you start a podcast and nobody's listening, or you're posting on social media and nobody's reacting. Take that as a privilege and as an opportunity for you to refine your craft. So in that moment, focus on getting better at the craft, because which of these two would you rather have? You know that in order to get to point A to point B to perfect this craft, you have to put yourself out there. So let me use the podcast as an example. You start a podcast, you have to record a lot of episodes to get good at podcasting. Get good at hearing your own voice, get good at what topics people like, get good at the just the art of podcasting, editing, what platform to put it on, what topics are working, you yourself, how you come across, and which episodes get the most reaction. All these things you have to learn. Thumbnails, if you're posting on YouTube, teasers, all these things you have to learn. You cannot learn them by just sitting there. You have to learn them by putting yourself out there. But when you put yourself out there in the beginning, you're not going to be good. Actually, you're going to be terrible. So take that opportunity when nobody's paying attention while you're terrible to continue to show up consistently. Again, the word consistency, refine your craft, get the data, feedback in terms of just what is working, what is not, and just keep going, refining, focus on just getting better. Look at who is doing it, who is at the top of their game, learning from them and trying things out and making it your own and testing and iterating and all that. So this is the box one. You are just started and nobody's paying attention and you're terrible. Box two is you have really mastered the craft and now people begin to tune in. Would you rather when you start and you're terrible that a lot of people tune in because you get one chance? They will see through that. They will see because there are people out there that are killing it. And then they'll look at you like, oh, he or she doesn't know what they're doing. And then they'll tune you out and write you off. So during the period when nobody's paying attention, I love it because it's forcing me to put myself out there. It's forcing me to work on my craft by being out there and being comfortable being out there. But it's the time when not a lot of people are paying attention. So I can refine my craft, get better at the product or service I'm trying to offer. And then by the time that people start paying attention, I'll be so good. They will think like, whoa, when did you get this good? Because I spent the last year working on my craft. So when nobody's paying attention, when nobody cares, or you feel like nobody cares, nobody's paying attention, nobody's reacting, don't get discouraged. Focus on consistency, showing up regularly and getting better and making sure that each day is better than the previous day, that you're incrementally getting better. And by the time the world sees where you are with your product or service or whatever you're trying to birth, they will be amazed and you will be ready for prime time, because you want to be ready for prime time. You don't want all these eyeballs on you when you haven't even figured out what you want to do yet. So count this as a blessing when people are not paying attention in the beginning. So that is test number 2, no feedback. Test number 3, pressure. You are going to feel a lot of pressure when you are starting something new, because sometimes we are pulling ourselves out of a situation that we didn't like, and we're creating something new to improve our situation. But the situation that we didn't like doesn't completely go away. So let me give you an example. Maybe you're in a job that you don't like and you're trying to start a business. Or you're in a business that you don't like and you're trying to switch over and start a new business. Or you are in a particular field and you're pivoting to something else, but you're still dabbling in both places. This thing here that you're trying to leave is still going to apply pressure. Things are going to start unwinding, and you may not even be ready for it to unwind yet. But all of a sudden, the thing that you're trying to leave is going to provide a lot of pressure and cause your situation to get worse. Sometimes you depend financially on this thing, and you're trying to keep it going and calm so that you can focus your attention on this new thing, and then this thing will start unwinding. That pressure is to be expected, and that pressure is good. So every time I feel pressure on the thing that I'm trying to stabilize to allow me to start something new, I take it as an opportunity to dig deeper into myself. What can I do better to move this ball faster? What am I avoiding that I could do now to move this ball faster? What have I learned that other people are doing in this category that I could do now to move this ball faster? So the pressure coming from here is meant to help you. It's meant to help you move in a good direction with so that the thing that you're trying to birth, you can think outside the box, you can accelerate your progress. And let me tell you, pressure is privilege. Pressure is privilege. I have been through so many scenarios where I'm trying to birth something new, and the thing that I need to stabilize, that I depend on to get me through this season of change, start to unwind, and it forces me to dig deeper and come up with something quicker that can move this forward faster. Pressure is good. Just expect it, and it's part of persistence. Just keep going. And then number 4, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, and do not beat yourself down about it. Some of them, mistakes are mistakes. Sometimes it's things that you didn't see coming. Sometimes it's things that you didn't know. Sometimes it's things that you know but you neglected because you're facing so much and dealing with so much. But you're going to make mistakes. And they're going to be painful, and sometimes they're going to set you back significantly. But all that is just more opportunity for you to feel confident that this is part of what happens when you're trying to birth something new. How bad do you want it? There is a reason why very, very small percentage of people make it in business, especially startups. There's a reason why I'll use podcasting again. A very tiny percentage of podcasts make it past episode 10. Do you know that? Of all the millions of podcasts that are out there, a very small percentage make it past 10 episodes. Because what happens? People start, and then pressure starts. They get uncomfortable. Things get hard. They make mistakes. They record a particular episode and they said a word wrong, and they beat themselves about it the entire time. Mistakes will happen. But do not let that stop you. Look at the big picture. And so, my message today about persistence when you start something is that just expect that it's going to be hard. You're going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be pressure. There's not going to be any feedback. and you're going to make mistakes. And all that is okay. You have to dig deeper inside of you and know that this comes with the territory and that you have to get through these uncomfortable situations to push through to get to the next stage and continue to make progress on what you're trying to birth in this important season of your life. So, that is my message today about persistence. I hope it's been very helpful to you. Tomorrow, I'm going to address patience. So, until the next video, you can do hard things. So, keep pushing forward.